All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ignite After Dark. My name is Daniel Young. I am with the Keller Williams Dallas Preston Road office. I've been actually this month is my 10-year anniversary, so I'm super excited about that. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm super excited to be able to be here tonight to share with you guys a little bit about just helping you guys get started in your business. Um, I've been on the leadership team of 600 agents for the past 3 years. I'm on my fourth year. And then I've also taught our Go Groundwork class, which is our version of Ignite in our market center. And so I'm super excited about just being able to share a little bit about my experiences with lead generation and seeing how I can help you guys grow your business. So why don't we start off with this? Just drop your name in the chat, where you're from, and how long you've been in the industry. Would love to be able to see like kind of the mixture of people that we have in this room tonight. 2 weeks. Wow. You are brand new. Debbie, 19 years. Wow, you've seen it all. Okay, so we got a lot of newbies, a couple of experienced agents. That's great. Love it. Maybe a couple of you just take yourselves off mute. How do you guys, we'll just take it to a couple. How do you guys feel about the market right now? How do you feel things are going?
It's
Anyone want to
exciting.
share? Maria, you want?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, there
Well,
you are.
at least in Chicago, the market is still on the seller side. Right? It's a seller's market. There's definitely more demand than inventory. So yes, it is exciting.
Okay, good, good. Anyone else?
Yeah, pretty much the same over here in Jersey.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, I think in Dallas, we're definitely a little bit slower market. So just in our county, we had about 600 new listings on the market, only 200 went under contract. So we're slowing down here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I mean, good homes are still going quickly, but overall, our inventory is still continuing to grow. And it's been an interesting market the last few years. Definitely, it's the we call it the market of the moment, right? It's like you got to ask me what's going on today because it's different than what's happened a few months ago. So that's great that you guys are still seeing houses moving in your respective areas, but every market's different, right? That's why we got to have local experts. Sometimes people, they're listening to a national narrative and they're interpreting it for your local market. So that's one of the things when we talk to people, we got to say, hey, I understand what you're hearing, and there's a lot of noise out there, right? This is one of your scripts. There's a lot of noise out there, and you need a local expert like me to be able to share with you what exactly is going on, not just in our city, but also in that neighborhood, right? So our objectives today, we're gonna do, you guys just did lead generation, I think it was last week. And so we're going to follow up with specific strategies, right? Lead generation through your database, through open houses, and social media. So what separates a successful agent from an average agent? What separates us, a lot of people think if I can do the transaction and if I can open the doors, right? Write the contracts, then I'm good to go. And that's a very transactional way of looking at things. The reality is to be successful, you got to be able to lead generate. We're in sales. So we're business owners. We got to go be able to go find the business. If you have a restaurant and you have the best chef in town, you have the best food, best customer service, and no one knows about you, guess what? You're out of business. And so the same is true with us, right? We got to be able to go out and find the business. That's what lead generation is about. It's called relationship building. And when I first started in this business, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a sales guy. Like, how can I succeed? Right? I don't like it when people cold call me, and I definitely don't want to cold call others, right? So anyone else feel like that, right? It's like, I don't want to cold call, right? I hate it. And if you like that, there's a lane for you all day long. You can call for sale by owners. You can call expireds. We've got a lane for you. And yet, if you're wired like me, you got to go a different approach. And so when I thought about it, I go, okay, well, there's financial advisors, consultants, helping others build wealth through their 401k, stock options, and things like that. We're helping people build wealth through real estate, right? And there's a lane for that. If we can come with a posture and a mindset of saying, hey, I'm here to serve others. I'm here to bring value. I'm here to advise them and be their consultant. I can make that call, right? I can help them if they need help through navigating celebrations, right? Trying to, affordability is becoming a bigger issue. So we're definitely helping people in that arena. Or if the other side, right, we're walking them through them with loss, divorce, whatever. Again, it's a privilege and an honor to be able to serve others in that way, and to be able to serve them at a very high capacity, right? When they're going through a difficult transition in life, we can also help them with that. And so again, it just depends on how we see it. But we're in the service industry. If we're coming from contribution, I know that you guys will be able to make those phone calls. You'll be able to make those contacts. But really, the idea is, how do we start with our database? So most people think, okay, well, if I'm going to lead generate and I need lots of business, I need lots of lead sources, right? So we tend to go off and say, I'm going to get 10 different sources, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And the reality is, most of the top agents in our industry will have just a few lead sources. Actually, less is more. And so I love that the 3 that they lumped in for Ignite is my top 3 as well. Is database, open houses, and social media. Actually, I do agent to agent referrals too, but social media is also part of that as well. 40% of my business when I first started was from open houses. So it can be done. But I would say you want to start with your database. You want to start with your sphere. That's where the bulk of your business should come from. Now, if you're brand new and you're just starting, or you're young right out of college, yeah, you're going to have to drum up the open houses, right, to get people that to start building your database in that regards. So I need to find the slides from the classes 2 and 3. How do I find that? Let me see. You know what? I'm gonna have to figure that out. Let me get back to you on that one, because I have it on my hard drive, but I need to throw it on a Google Drive link for you. So when we take a break, I'll put it out there. But in the meantime, we'll just follow through with the slides that I'm going to post here. So I'm going to share my screen. And that's not what I want. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to grow our database. So we've got some, notices that we got to go over. We got to comply with TCPA when we're talking about calling our clients and calling our spheres. That's just the big thing. And then obviously the big one is everything's negotiable when it comes to commissions. Then the next one is fair housing. So we got to be able to comply with those rules. And I think those are that's it. So lead generation with your database. How do we grow our database? What's the importance of it? And how do we even build it? So just to go over a little bit about what we're going to share tonight, and this is kind of our flow for this first class, or this first section, is what is a smart database? How do we build it? How do we feed it? How do we grow it? How do we communicate with it? And then how do we service the leads that are coming out of it, right? We're going to go quick tonight because there's a lot of material. So we actually have 3 sessions to cover tonight. There's 3 different areas. So we're going to move fast, and we'll have a couple of areas where we can dialogue. But just to let you know, we're just going to push through, and then any questions we can handle at the end. So I wanted to start off with this quote. I guess I should go. Slideshow. There we go.
Are we starting? Oh, session 6. Is that where we're starting with?
Yes.
Okay.
So your database is your business. Building up a number of names in it And a relationship with those names is really at the very core of building a real estate business. That's what it's all about. So if you think about it, your database, right? If I just have a list of names, it doesn't really do me any good. I got to have more than just a list of names. I actually have to have a relationship with my database. I've got to be able to talk to them. I've got to be able to ask them, hey, what, you know, what does our relationship look like? You know, is it active? Is it just one-way communication, or am I actually in communication with them? So that's a big part of it, is understanding our database and what kind of relationship do we have with it. All right. So my question is first, right? Where do we get all our names in our database? Where can you go get your names?
From you speak.
I'm sorry?
Family.
High school, college alumni.
Yeah.
Cell phone, your
Your
contacts.
contact.
Yeah, your
Neighbors.
contacts in your cell phone. Absolutely. Your emails, right? Even old emails, right? So I've got some old email lists that I probably don't really use anymore, but they've got a lot of contacts in there, right? If I go scrounge around in there and I pull them up, I could get some pretty good email lists and contacts out of that. I mean, if I just pull up my phone, I think if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you're going to see how many contacts you have. And it will surprise you. You'll be like, oh my gosh, really? Do I know that many people? Have I met that many people? Go to your spouse's phone and pull up her contacts, right? And your Christmas card list, because a lot of times those end up being in a separate database somewhere, a spreadsheet, something like that. And another good one is Facebook, right? You know, I may not have phone numbers for all my Facebook contacts, but I do have a way to contact them through Messenger. And so Facebook has a way to download all your contacts, not necessarily the contact information, but actually at least just a list of names. So you can add those to your database as well. And certainly you grab all of those. So, you know, again, friends, families, people from your church, people from soccer, all those things, right? So you've got a lot of ways to build and start with the number of people in your database. So the key really is what is your relationship with them? You know, and I struggled with this at the beginning because at first I was like, oh man, I want all my clients to be friends. I want to be, you know, Facebook friends with them. I want to be able to, you know, hang out with them. And then I realized that's not realistic. Because I got kind of jealous, right? You know, everyone's posting on their socials like, hey, you know, I just met my client. We closed this transaction. Now we're besties and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that I would like to have to happen, but the reality is, some of it is going to be a business relationship, and I got to be okay with that because I'm their real estate advisor. I'm their real estate consultant. So some of it just depends, right? Some people we may connect with and we'll develop a closer relationship, and that's an incredible blessing. And then other people will be more of a business-like relationship. And so, you know, when we think about this, right, the database really is this middle section right here. It's where we get the leads. It's where we get the where we capture the information, but then it's where we also you know, store all our information. I'm going to get out of the full screen mode. This is driving me crazy because I tried to compress the pictures and I ended up being someone else. So I don't know what's going on there. Let's see here. All right. So there are 4 laws to a database. One is building the database, then we feed it, then we communicate with it, and then we service it. So the first step is really building it. How do we structure our database? So we have command, right? And we want to be able to organize our database in a way that makes sense. When we organize our database, obviously, it's not a contact if we don't have information to contact them. So our goal in building our initial databases is to have their name, have their phone, have their email address, and have their physical address if possible. And the best time to get their physical address, obviously, is Christmas time, where you're gonna say, hey, because it's kind of awkward sometimes today asking, hey, can I get your physical address? And we're like, I don't know if I want to give it that to you. But if you're saying, hey, I'm getting ready to send out Christmas cards, I need your address. Guess what? People are giving out their addresses all day long. So that's the best time to get their address. But again, you start out with that. Then what I would say is you want to be able to tag your database. So you want to organize it in a way that you can say, okay, what kind of relationship do I have with each of these contacts? So I just basically do A, B, C, D, super, super simple. A's are people that would champion you. They're like, hey, I'm gonna send you a referral. If I'm thinking about buying or selling, I'm going to go ahead and use you, right? Those are your A's. Your B's are going to be people that they know you. They're going to recognize you in a grocery store, but they may not really be your champion. Not going to send you business. They may have like 3 or 4 friends that are also in real estate, and they're going to that they might also use them. So again, you have a good relationship, you recognize them. C's would be like you have their contact information, but you probably may not recognize them in a grocery store. So a person like this could be like, for example, someone I met at an open house. I have their contact information. I just don't know if I would recognize them, right? And then D's would be people that you haven't met, but you would like to meet. And the perfect example of this would be people in your farm. So people in your neighborhood saying, okay, well, I want to farm my neighborhood. I want to build a relationship with everyone. I've got their names and their addresses from the tax records. I just haven't built a relationship with them yet. We don't know each other. So that's kind of how I would structure that with regards to your building your database. And then that way you can understand how best to communicate with them and organize things. The other thing I would add to it is, let's say if you get someone that raises their hand and says, hey, I'm ready to buy or sell, then all of a sudden you got to add some extra tags to it. So I would say a hot lead is anything from 0 to 3 months. Then a warm lead is 3 to 12. And then a cold lead is 12 and above, right? So over a year away. And then again, that way you can filter out your contacts. You can say, okay, these are the people that I need to probably pay attention a little bit more and reach out to them more consistently because they've just told me that they're ready to buy or sell. So there is a difference between lead and contact. So a lead and a contact. So a lead is someone that literally I may have met at the open house, but the main difference is I have a one-way conversation with them. Like it's me reaching out to them. It's not a two-way conversation. The moment that they start responding to you and say, hey, yeah, Daniel, thanks for the text. Yeah, I appreciate you reaching out to the open house after the open house. Yeah, this is kind of where our family's at. Like as soon as they start dialoguing with you, then I would say, okay, that's a contact, right? And so we want to be able to go from leads to contacts. And I would say the next part is connection. So in some of our classes, we call it bold. We always say, let's count how many contacts are we making in a day, which is how many people we're talking to. Now I can say, okay, I just sent them a text. They responded and I said, hey, how's it going? I'm great. Okay, well, that's a contact, right? That's a two-way conversation. They responded to me. But the goal is not just contacts, right? The goal is connection. How many connections are you making? Where are you going with it, right? And so I think that's a better measuring stick is how many connections am I making? How am I going deeper with my relationships? So that's that's just something to think about as you're making these phone calls, as you're reaching out to your database is, am I going deeper with the relationship? It doesn't have to always be about real estate, but you just want to be able to go deeper in that relationship to move people from the D's to the C's to the B's to the A's, right? Because people use who they know, like, and trust. And so if you can go deeper with that relationship, especially if you haven't talked to them for a few years, I mean, we've all have friends that we go, oh man, it's been a few years, like it's kind of awkward. Yes, it is awkward if the first thing you do is say, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Like that's not the right conversation to have right at the beginning. It's just like, hey, it's been a few years. How are things going? Let's catch up, right? And you're already in the process of reconnecting with them. So let me see here. So your business is your database. The goal is to say, how can I find those that are motivated, especially in this market. We're in a shifting market. Things are getting a little bit slower. And so the goal is always asking the question, how can I go find those that are motivated and ready to buy and sell, right? And what there's a tab in Command, it's called opportunities. And so again, when they've raised their hands, it's a good idea to put them into the opportunities, because that way, or even a separate spreadsheet, because that way you're tracking them. You're saying, okay, these people, I've got to follow up with them. Because if they say, hey, Daniel, I'm ready to go in 6 months, guess what I got to do? I got to follow up with them for 6 months. It may be even a year. Some of them are saying, hey, I'm a year out. I'm looking to move into the area next year. If I don't stay in touch with them and follow up with them for a full year, they're going to lose sight of things. They're going to go with someone else. So that's the goal with the opportunities tab, is just to be able to say, hey, these are the people I need to stay on top of mind, and to continue to hone and nurture that relationship. The next section, so that's building a database, right? Structuring it, segmenting it. And actually another tag you could do is putting your information into saying, okay, what stage are they at? So are they a first-time home buyer? Are they an investor? Are they maybe downsizing? Because the message for each of those segments is going to be a little bit different, right? And we'll talk about that when we talk about communicating with your database. But that's another tag that you could add into your database to help you navigate it and to help you organize it. So again, here's Command. You can see you got your contact information, and then you track your conversations right here. Some of it's really great. Like if they tell you, hey, Daniel, we're going through some life transitions. It's been really tough. Could you appreciate your prayers? Guess what? If I have it, I have a hard time remembering a lot of stuff, but if it's in here, if it's in my notes, then I can go back and just say, hey, you mentioned that so-and-so was in the hospital, or you're going through this hard time. How are things going with you, right? And it just adds the ability to be authentic, but also to remember and to show care with everything you have. All right, so law number 2 is feeding your database. So the part of it is, okay, once I've structured my database, then I've got to grow it. And how can I grow? How can I add people to my database? There's 2 things that we've talked about. One is prospecting and one is marketing. So the difference between the two, prospecting is actually being more intentional, is going out. Marketing is like, okay, I could put an ad online. I could put an ad somewhere, right? It's kind of very passive, but I'm spending a lot of money to do it. And a lot of times we think, okay, if I just throw money at it, then my leads will come. The reality is we say that we have to be prospecting based, which means that's our foundation, and marketing enhanced. Marketing is like enhancing what we're doing, but it should never be our primary. Prospecting should always be our primary. So some examples of prospecting: we open houses, for sale by owners, expireds, door knocking. You could do seminars, like first-time home buyer seminars or investor seminars. You could do farming. So those are all great ideas with regards to prospecting. And again, marketing is very, very expensive. So we always say lead with revenue, especially in this market, lead with revenue, and then allow out of your surplus. If you decide and choose to do some marketing, then you can go into that road and you can go down that road. So there's one thing I wanted to touch on is this, is that there is a big difference between lead generation and lead receiving. So lead generation means I am going out and I am going out to find the business. I'm intentional about my activities. I'm intentional about the things that I'm doing to go and find the business. Lead receiving is I'm just waiting for it. Well, my friends aren't referring me business. I posted a social media ad and I'm just kind of waiting for people to come, right? When the market was hot a few years ago, we kind of got away with lead receiving. Like the business was just coming. And we lost a little bit of some of the basics of lead generating, time blocking for it, creating space for it, being intentional about it. And so in a shifted market, when the number of leads are less, the number of closings are less, we've got to focus back on the basics in terms of lead generating, which means I got to go find the business. And so we can grow our database really through, again, we're going to talk about open houses later, but that's a great option. And continue to build our database, continue to grow it. So, sometimes I think that when we have our sphere, right, our number one source of our leads should be our sphere. We're going to be asking people. So our A's, they're going to be raising their hand and saying, hey, I'm thinking of Daniel and I would like to use him for real estate, right? That's new business from them. They could also be repeat clients. So they said, hey, I already bought with Daniel before and I was so impressed with his experience and him, what he did. So I'm going to use him again, right? That's repeat business. Now the gold is when they become referral partners. So when they become referral partners, then they're going to be like, hey, I'm championing Daniel. I was talking to a neighbor and they told me that they were thinking about buying and selling. And I was sharing with him, like, yeah, hey, you got to use Daniel, man. He's top notch. And so like that's when I would prefer to have a referral partner than someone who actually like chooses to buy and sell, because guess what? People buy and sell a house every 8 to 10 years. It's getting longer and longer. And yet, if I get a referral champion, they could potentially be referring me up to 2 pieces of business a year. So having those referral partners, those VIP partners, the people that are sending you business, those guys are gold. You gotta say, okay, how do I treasure them? How do I appreciate them? How do I encourage and train people to send me the referrals, right? So that's where the gold is. And then the last one really is like, so I think sometimes we get nervous, right? We're like, oh my gosh, I'm a new agent. Why would someone want to use me? Why would want someone to refer me business? I had a friend that started a State Farm insurance company, and we were really, really tight as families. And when they first started, we just automatically didn't even think twice about it. It was a little bit more expensive, and we just went ahead and switched to State Farm. And then secondly, we started sharing it with everyone, and we started sending, referring them, because guess what? They were good friends and we wanted to see them succeed in business. And I think that's true with a lot of us, is that we underestimate how much our close-knit friends, our true champions, our sphere, our SOI, our A's, they want to see us succeed. They're going to be our champions. They're okay with just spreading the word. So don't be afraid of that. Don't let that be a limiting belief that just because you're new, that people won't use you. There are people that were willing to be your champions and willing to share with others about referring you business. So that's feeding our database. So again, here your sphere, they'll help us generate new, repeat, and referral business. And let's see. The other thing that we want to do with our sphere in terms of building up our business, and is get referrals and get reviews. So in the social media section, I'll talk about this a little bit more, but that's going to be critical to getting your business up off the ground. So let's keep moving on. So once you segment your database, you've organized it in terms of your tags, who's most important to you, and then you're growing your database. You're adding people to it constantly, and tracking, right? You're tracking with what you're communicating to them. The next part is really, okay, how do we communicate with them? So Gary Keller says, to succeed at a high level in real estate sales, you must commit to frequent contact with a database with the intent of building close relationships. Real estate's a contact sport. And we have a saying in our office, don't be a secret agent, right? If people do not know you're in the business of real estate, it's going to be really, really tough. So we got to put ourselves out there. We got to let people know that we're in the business. We also have to bring value to them. So not just touching in terms of contacts, but what are we saying? What is our message? Right? Because there's only so many times I can go to my friends and say, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, and invest in real estate, right? That's going to get kind of old. And now it's going to start feeling salesy. And the last thing I want to do is come across as salesy to my champions. and to my referral partners and those that are going to refer me business, because they're going to start saying, okay, Daniel, you're over the top. You're getting pushy. Like, I don't want to be like that to them. And I don't want to lose them in that regard. So the communication, not just the frequency, but the type of communication that we're making is going to be incredibly important. So we definitely want to be able to systematize it and say, okay, how are we communicating with our database? How often are we doing it? And what's the system? Do I have reminders to say, okay, hey, Daniel, it's been a while since we last connected. Do I have reminders to say, hey, this is what they're passionate about. These are the things that we like to connect with. So again, we can segment our databases into different things, as I mentioned before. Now, before I just had said first-time home buyers, investors, people looking to downsize, but you could actually also segment it by different things like, okay, are they into sports? Do we have a common interest? Because again, people connect with people that they like, right? If they've got a hobby. So my wife, she does triathlon. She loves to ride her bike, and that's her circle. She's actually an Ironman, which is incredible. Like, I mean, I'm just still blown away by it. But she goes into beast mode and goes into that training, but they're a tight knit circle, right? And so again, she's gonna have a natural connection, and they get to talking about it, and I'm like, oh, you guys are talking way above my head. I don't quite understand you guys. Like, they're a whole different world. So again, but people naturally will have affinity based on what your passions and what your likes are. Now the VIP is the one that you got to separate as a separate as a separate group, because those are your VIP clients and past referrals or referral partners. You want to treat them very special. You want to do some things special for them in terms of recognizing them, appreciating them, or just even taking them out for coffee and lunch, right? Staying connected with them. All right. So let's go to this slide here. So what are some ways that we communicate with them, right? How do we um, begin this conversation? So leads and contacts are going to be very different, right? So if I meet someone in an open house, I need to have a separate kind of plan and a system versus someone that's already in my database, right? So if I've got someone that I just literally met at an open house, I'm going to have a certain we call it 19 to connect, right? The goal is to form a connection so that now we're in relationship with one another. And so again, that could be a quarterly phone call. Now, I'll go over some things when we go over the open houses of the initial 8x8 follow-up, which is 8 touches in 8 weeks. But again, we're going to have a monthly email. It's going to be a little bit different, right? It's going to be more on the lines of, hey, here's a market update. I know that we met at the neighborhood, or here's some things that might interest you with regards to specifically buying and selling a home, right? And then when I talk about contacts, these are people in my database. It's going to have to look and feel a little bit different, right? It's going to be a little bit more care. It's going to be a little bit more, hey, would you like to learn a little bit more about investing in real estate? Things like that, right? So it's going to have a little bit different. But what's a little bit shocking to me when I first started out in real estate, I go, you're kidding, right? 36 touches. Like, we barely talk once a year, especially the guys, right? The guys are even don't stay in touch as well as the ladies do. And so I'm like going, man, 36 touches is a lot. And it takes that many to stay in top of mind, because the average person probably knows about 8 or 9 real estate agents. And guess what? Being in position 8 or 9 is going to do nothing for you. You got to be number 1 or number 2 before they will use you. So part of it is, how do we stay in touch with them? That's, again, not salesy, but brings value, stays connected, and puts us at the forefront. So we say a minimum of 4 calls, telephone calls a year should be on your on your plan. And there's a plan called DTD2, which basically takes the alphabet, puts 2 letters in it, and then you can contact. It reminds you, oh, these are the 2 letters in the alphabet that I need to be calling. But if you Google DTD2, and it'll take you to the Connect page, KW DTD2, and it'll give you that list of letters that you can follow on how to make those quarterly calls. But then it doesn't feel like too much when you start saying, okay, well, it's going to be a combination of emails, it's going to be a combination of events and things like that, or it could be a drop by of a gift. And so all of those count as touches to your database. And over time, it's not going to be so much. So getting a once a month market update email, that really isn't that much. If you think about like what all these other companies are doing, I mean, we're getting a lot, right? So again, I don't want to sound salesy. So again, you got to ask, what am I sending to them via email? Would I want to receive that? That's the question I always ask. And is it of something of value? So the emails that and you have to be real careful about that. Like I think we do want to again ask that question, would I want to receive it? So there's one time when I thought I'd be real smart and I go, okay, I'm just going to outsource this. I'm going to hire a company to run my email campaign. And so they would send out these emails to people, and it was definitely very generic, very canned. And the moment I signed up for them, and it's not cheap, right? The moment I signed up for them, guess what happened? My unsubscription rates were going through the roof. People were just unsubscribing from my email campaign. I was like, cancel, 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 right? So I was like, okay, I'd rather do less is more in this situation, but when I do send something out, it's got to be of value. So I think market updates are very valuable, right? Once a month, just sending your stats. Now, I would say you've got to interpret the statistics. If you're just taking the numbers from your title company and basically doing a cut and paste and just sending it on, that does nothing. You've got to be able to explain, okay, what do these numbers mean? Ask the question, what does this mean for buyers? And what does this mean for sellers? And if you can just answer those two questions every month, I think that's going to be something of value for people. And then you can mix in some other things like, everyone wants to do renovations. You can, a lot of times it can just be links to other articles and things like that, but just kind of think through that. Like I know that sometimes we always say, we get made fun of like saying, hey, we send the emails where it talks about time change. And I would go, no one cares about time change anymore, where our phones automatically update. So kind of be sensitive to the things that we don't want to receive, right, from other people. All right, so let me see. Oh, so when we talk about conversations, let me come back to here. Let me give you guys a few more things with regards to conversations. So again, if you're saying, okay, well, I don't know what to say to my database, right? You could do what we call a FORD conversation. That's the acronym FORD. So that stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So it's very natural, right? I'm just like, hey, how's your family doing? It's been a while since we caught up. Just start with that. How's work going? And guess what? They're going to ask you, how's work going for you? Oh, guess what? I just started in real estate. Oh, great. It's been going well. I'm so super excited and things like that. You don't have to, again, you don't have to you don't have to pitch to them. You're just telling them and letting them know you're in real estate. And it comes very organically through the conversation. Recreation. Hey, you know what? Guess what? It's summer's coming up. Can you believe summer's coming up? I can't believe it. It's so fast. You guys got any plans for summer? And the dreams question is, eventually you want to say, okay, do you have any dreams of moving or something like that? But guess what? The move comes with life transition. So if you're asking questions like, oh, so you're saying that your kids are getting ready to go into elementary school? Wow, that's a big decision. I mean, so have you guys thought about which, you guys plugging into which school are they going to? Are you happy with that? Oh, yeah, you know what? We're not sure about that one. We're thinking about we prefer them to go into this school district. Oh, guess what? They just raised their hand saying, hey, we might be considered thinking about moving, right? It's those triggers and those signs and that they say, hey, we might consider a move. Or that you can say, hey, yeah, we talked about work and oh, you got a new job. Okay, well, where's the job at? Oh, it's in downtown. Oh, do you get to work from home? No. Oh, wow, that's kind of far from you, isn't it? Ah, guess what? Maybe they might be interested, right? So your conversations out of that will emerge the potential for them to move. You don't necessarily have to ask them straight up, hey, are you looking to move in the next 12 months or so, right? So that's a great one. It's called the Ford conversation. Another one that I love to have is you can say, hey, guess what? I am in real estate, as you know, or you can say I'm new to real estate and I need your help. Part of my business is I've got to have in my pipeline a bunch of 5-star referral partners for contractors. Who do you know that you've used that you would say you would give a 5-star review to? Could you make that call all day long? People are willing to help and they would love to help you. And then A, you're building your pipeline and your network of vendors that you're going to use. And secondly, you've just told them that you're in real estate. You're reminding them you're in real estate because people need constant reminders. Like sometimes you think, oh, well, I already told them. Guess what? I had a neighbor that lived diagonally behind me, and I told them that I was in real estate. And yeah, we're just chatting about it, and and then I think a year later, I see a sign in his yard and he went with someone else, and I'm like, going, what the heck? Like, it's in real estate. And then we went up there, and then he goes, we start talking about it, and he goes, oh my gosh, Daniel, I forgot. Guess what? That's why you need 36 touches, because people is out of sight, out of mind, right? And you want to be able to be in a relationship. Another example I had was one time we were at church and I was talking to someone and they go, hey, yeah, I'm actually thinking about getting my real estate license. And I go, okay, that's great. Yeah, let's chat. And then her husband kind of turned to her and goes, well, we already have a realtor. Like, I mean, wouldn't you want to work through them and go with their company instead of Daniel? And she goes, well, we're not in a relationship. This is our current relationship. And so she started talking to me about it. Oh, guess what? That told me that people will use who they are in current relationship with. If you kind of drift away in your relationship, they'll move on. So it's kind of a strange dynamic. And again, because our business, people only buy and sell every 8 to 10 years. That's a hard one where it's unique to our industry. Like if we're a dentist or something like that, guess what? As a dentist, well, most of us, I should say, constantly see our dentist every twice a year. There was a season when I did not go at all. So, but normally we're staying in touch, right? We're our customers and we're staying in touch. There's a reason to go see them. In real estate, it's a little bit different. So we got to spend a little bit extra time in nurturing those relationships, asking for the referrals, staying on top of mind for them. So again, those are just a couple of easy questions that we could ask the Ford conversation, asking for contractors to be able to stay in touch with people that are in our sphere right now. Let me see what else I got here.
Hey Daniel, quick question. What was the D stand? What did the D stand for Ford?
Dreams. So you can just say, hey, you got any big goals for the rest of the year? Or for this
Got it.
upcoming year?
Thank you.
Any big events? All right. And then, so let me stop here. Let me stop here. Any ahas that you guys want? Let's just take a quick break. Any ahas from what we've got so far?
I feel like I've been really overthinking the conversations that I need to have with my database. So just going into it, knowing that it can be a lighter touch on the real estate. Since I am so new, I've been anxious to sound too salesy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think we all tend to overthink it, right? Because we have limiting beliefs about how our how we think about ourselves, and we tend to put it in, we just tend, like you said, we tend to overthink it. So 100%. Any other ahas? What's your hesitation to make calls?
I know for me, I just don't know what to say to them. Especially the ones that I've already told that I'm in real estate. And so another call, I don't know what to say. So the Ford that you just gave us, that's going to help a lot.
Yeah. Good, good.
I think what I'm struggling with is the time management. There's just so much, I'm a newbie, and so there's so much training coming at us constantly that it's like, where am I gonna find the spaces between sitting down and actually blocking? I like to block time and actually speak to my my database. I've done it once or twice and I have actually generated a few leads as a result of that. But there's so much training that, and I'm assuming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that it's just the initial season and that'll settle down once all of this is over, I'm guessing.
Yeah. You know, and here's the thing, right? This is what I encourage a lot of the new agents is don't worry about the transaction piece as much, right? Your number one goal is to go find business because I can help you write a contract. I can even help you with figuring out open houses and how to get set up and the system in place. The one thing I cannot do is convert that lead for you. Because if I start following up with them and showing value, guess what they're going to do? They're going to work with me, not you. Right? So you got to go find the business and it just takes time. We always say the business is 90 days out. And if you're a newbie, you're probably looking at 6 months to maybe even longer for your first piece of business, right? And so what ends up happening is a lot of new agents, they say, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I got to do training. And they wait and they postpone the lead generation for 3 months or even longer before they start working on their business. And then by now, you're even later in terms of getting that first piece of business. So what I say is just go in, 100% go out and try to find an appointment, try to find them motivated. Again, open houses, we'll talk about it, but that's a great way to get started. To go out and find the business so that guess what, we can walk with you once you get that person in your pipeline to help navigate. Okay, well, this is what you would say at an appointment. This is what you're going to say getting ready for the contracts. This is how you negotiate the contracts, right? So that's how we can help. Roman, you got a question?
I wanted just to highlight a few things, which I pretty much highlight them for myself. Hopefully, it's going to help somebody else. I'm just 2 months into real estate. Got my license at the end of January and joined KW. I do have some, I hope, experience that is relatable because it's all customer service and pretty much help people, right? Whatever you do, service based, you're helping people. I wanted to highlight a few things. So it maybe take it as not time management, but as a task management. You can't really manage time. Time will pass no matter what we are going to do. You can't stop it. You can't manipulate it. You can be more efficient at what you do. So it kind of will appear to you, oh, you manage time or you have more time. But it's actually being more selective to your tasks, giving priority to your business, committing to income generating activities or to business generating activities. That is what's going to make your time management, but it's actually task management, prioritizing things that are more important and give you more ROI. Also, somebody said, I don't want to call people too late. Well, right, nobody wants to get calls that will appear somehow salesy too late. So you have a lunch break, call them on lunch. If you want to prioritize your business, you have to commit to your business. Nobody will come and do this for us. You will have to start carving time and task into your day that will be priority over other things that are basic right now to you. That's a few things I can say right now.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Taylor, I think you got a question?
Yeah, so I just got licensed like 10 days ago, and everyone at my brokerage is like, get out there, make calls, try to get appointments. But my biggest thing is I know everyone's saying, don't wait, like you just said, because then you'll be months into this and you'll have nobody, but I just don't know much of like if I'm to get a client and to go to somebody's house, to like an open house, I don't know how to explain like what's in the basement. Like I don't like I don't understand like, the septic system, the heating. I don't understand much of the finances. Like I just feel like I would not be able to answer like any of their questions. So that makes me worried that I might like create a bad name for myself when I'm just getting started.
Yes. And we've all been there before. So Taylor, your concerns have been, we've all felt that way before. And it's people are more concerned if can you find the answer, right? Versus do you know the answer? Because guess what? I'm 10 years in the business and I still don't know everything, right? So I've always got to say, and if you want to admit to people that you're new, that's okay. Just say, hey, look, I'm new, but I've got a great team behind me, right? So I always say, I've got my supervisor who's been in the business for 30 plus years. She's over contracts. I've got a team of people. And I actually, because I take agents under my wing, I just say, hey, just say you're on Daniel's team and I can help you through everything, right? It's shadow, right? Absolutely. But
Mhm.
but the goal is say, that's a great question. Let me get back to you. And people are okay with that.
Yeah, that's what people have been telling me, but I feel like that's what I would be saying for every question. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
and that's okay. Don't worry about it because you're going to learn as you go. That's a great question. And here's the beauty of it. At an open house, you give that's a great question. Let me get back to you. What's the best number to reach you at?
That's
Get their
smart.
contact information. So I mean, don't, I would say just have a general knowledge of the market data, right? So all you need to do is, hey, what's going on with active listings? What's going on with closings? What's going on with the interest rate? So you can talk about that. And you probably already know more than most people in that arena. And that way you can show some expertise. And then when it comes to more of the little nuances, just say, yeah, you know what? Let me find out and I'll get back to you. And they'll be okay
Okay.
with it.
Thank-
Right. So yeah, don't worry about being new because we've all been there. Now you do want to be able to, so I think a big part of success is networking within your own office. So I know a lot of new agents, sometimes you're working other jobs and all that stuff. So it's hard to get into the office, but you want to have in your back pocket 5 to 10 agents at least of people that you can go to with questions. Because sometimes you can just say, hey, you know what? Go finish out the open house. Let me text a couple people and I'll get back to you as soon if I can get an answer right now. So, I mean, I've done that a lot as well.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yep.
So like I'm going to an open house, for example, like shadowing another agent this weekend. And I'm just wondering like and I'm a new agent, like I just got my license in November. What what can I do there that I mean aside from just like learning how the open house works, like is that something where I can also give my, my information? I mean, I don't know how this works.
Yeah, why don't we let's go through the open house section and if you still have a question at the end of that, then we can revisit that. Does that
Okay,
sound?
thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
cool. All right. We'll take the last question and then we'll move on. Bara, what do you have?
Yeah, hi. I wanted to basically ask, I'm still going through the qualifying course. I'm almost done. I gotta take the first qualifying exam. I forgot the name of it, and the national one. I mean the state one, and then get started. I wanted to ask because I'm Muslim. I'm not allowed to engage with anything regarding interest since it's not permissible in my religion. So I talked to the selling agent that was helping me like get started with the course, and she said that I would basically just stick to cash buyers and people who want to like rent out houses and stuff. So I wanted to ask, is that like the only two type of clients I'll be looking for, cash buyers and people want to rent, or is there other like avenues I could look into? Because I'm still trying to reach out to more Muslim real estate agents to get a better idea of how to play inside the real estate market.
Okay, so you said your restriction right now is you can't do loans based on your
Yeah, anything regarding interest, I'm not allowed to get involved in.
interest. Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah, but I think there's a bunch of lenders that can work with the Muslim community that does interest-free loans. I'm not familiar with it, but yeah, that's something you're gonna have to kind of work out and see what's the best practices for there. Because I mean, again, it's not like there are alternate solutions, and so you have to find out what are the solutions with regards to serving your community, because your community still needs to be served,
Right.
right? The need to move doesn't change. The
Right.
question
Yeah.
is, you're asking a how question, and the how question, there are answers for it. I just don't necessarily know those answers. So
I gotcha. Yeah, I'll probably like mainly if the person I mean really wants to move, like they'll probably, they're willing to figure out a way to be able to, I guess, pay me.
Hey
So
guys,
it's just
sorry to jump in on this.
Yep.
Bara, how you doing? I'm a Muslim
doing?
as well. And we could
Assalamu
talk
alaikum.
about this on the side if you want to, like, Salam. We could talk about this on the side because I'm gonna assume a lot of people here would not have the concept of interest rate being forbidden in our religion. So
Okay.
it's something we can talk about together and we can like find means to it. But as an answer to David, I would say an immediate response to this question would kind of be something along the lines of not a fixed interest rate, because it would kind of break the barrier of what Bara is talking about, where the interest rate is no longer fluctuating, which can give the kind of forbidding part of our religion the reason why it's forbidden. But a fixed rate on the interest rate would kind of give wiggle room to sort of justify why it's forbidden. So you can start from there, Bara, and then we can talk about that more on the side if you want.
yeah, why don't you
Okay,
guys
yeah, sure.
Sorry to jump in, guys. Just wanted to clarify his point of view and give him a bit of an answer.
Okay.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No, and I know that there's going to be a lot of people on the call that may have the same question, so I love that you brought it up. But why don't you guys switch contact information via the chat, and then that way you guys can have a sidebar
Thanks,
conversation.
Daniel.
So
Sounds
let's
good. Thanks again.
take
Appreciate
a
it.
5-minute break, and during this break, if you guys, because our goal is to also put you guys into action. You can go to all the training you want, and if we don't implement, then the training is kind of, not worth it, right? So why don't we just do this? Let's send 5 text messages out to your sphere, right? And you can do a care text, which is like, hey, I was just thinking about you. Anything I can be praying for you, right? That's a super easy text. Or you can do the contractor one. Hey, I'm in real estate now and I need your help. I'm looking for 5-star referral partners in terms of contractors. Who do you know? Or if you know that someone who is a VIP that you haven't connected with a while, just shoot them a text, say, hey, let's grab coffee or lunch sometime. So send out 5 text messages to your sphere. We'll take a 5-minute break and come back.
Daniel, I have a quick question. Are we going to do session 6, 7, and 8, or just 6? I can't
Doing
hear
6,
you.
7, and 8.
We're doing all 3. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Rama.
All right, let's kick back on here for our second session here. We're going to talk about open houses. I think I'm just going to leave the screen like this. I prefer to be able to see all of you guys, and then also I can see the chat versus when I go share my screen, I lose the chat a little bit there. So, so with open houses, right? This is a great tool to be able to lead generate. So a lot of people, you know, if you're new to the business, there's a lot of new agents use open houses as their starting point to build their business. And so I definitely encourage you guys, if you're new to the industry, you don't have a big database, whether maybe you're new to the city, or you know, like I said, you're younger and your sphere isn't ready to buy or sell. This is a phenomenal way to build contacts, to connect with people that are raising their hands and saying they are ready to look at buying a house, right? So it's a great opportunity for you. And so we'll talk a little bit about the benefits of open houses. Then we'll talk about the strategies and preparing for the open house, and then we'll kind of wrap up with what does the follow-up look like. And so really with regards to open houses, right? Sometimes there's a limiting belief like, oh my gosh, I don't have any listings. I don't have signs. I don't know what to say. You know, if someone asked me questions, that was one of them. And so again, those are just limiting beliefs for us that hold us back from really being able to do an open house. So your market center should have listings for you to be able to hold open. So the biggest thing I would say is to encourage you guys to build relationships with people in your in your market center. But then also you should be able to, I know in Texas, we're able to look up all the listings that are part of our market center. And then I can go out and take a look and say how I want to select an open house based on, you know, price point, based on location, based on other things that you think it's going to be a good open house, right? And obviously something that's not been sitting on the market for like 6 months or something like that. So again, those are the types of houses that you can use to be able to hold your open houses open that are actually would generate more traffic, right? So those are kind of the criteria I use: price point, location, and then days on market. But you know, the beauty of the open houses is one is that it doesn't really cost you any money, right? We always say lead with revenue in our business so that you can ensure that you're not spending a lot of money in terms of buying leads and stuff like that. So that, again, you could do that, but I always say, again, start with the free, right? Let your business foundation be built on your database. And then if you decide to spend money, that should be a secondary, not your primary source of leads. So the question is, with regards to lead generation, and we talked about, one of the questions was priority and time. Am I spending 80% of my time on the top 20% of the activities that generate me business? Am I spending 80% of my time on the top 20% of activities that can help me grow my business? Because if not, right, then I'm spending my time in the wrong areas. And now someone cracked a joke, right? It says, "Oh, then I don't need to do any training," right? So yeah, that was kind of funny. But again, it's not necessarily that we skip all the training. We got to be focused on the training. Our market center has more training than we could ever do, and you may not need all of it right now. What I would say is, if you say, I want to double down on my database and open house and maybe social media, these three things, go find classes and go deeper rather than wider. Because I don't know about you guys, but my brain, like literally, I can only hold so much in my brain right now. So if I go into 20 classes, it's a little bit information overload. But if I go deeper rather than wider, then that really, really helps out. Phil, you got a question?
Yeah, just want to double check with you. It doesn't quite sound right. Don't you mean spend 20% that returns 80% of results?
You're talking about the 80-20 principle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so 20% of your activities will give you 80% of your results. But what I said was spend 80% of your time on those 20% of activities. So that's kind of what I kind of reversed it a little bit, but yeah, it's both. The bulk of my time should be spent on my top 20% of activities. So thanks for clarifying that.
Okay.
So open houses, right? We got to determine as we set up our business, we want to say, okay, what's my best practices, right? I got to set a goals. How many open houses do you need to do? Like, I know there's some agents that go, okay, well, I'm just going to do one a month, just kind of do like it's a quantity game. And so if you're serious about saying, okay, open houses is going to be now understand your stage of life. If you're doing real estate part-time and you got a full-time job and you got family activities, you're like, okay, I get it, right? The open houses are going to be a little bit more challenging. My goal as a full-time agent is to do 40 open houses a year. That's almost one a weekend. It's a quantity game. And the more you do it, the more contacts you're going to build and the more business you're going to have, right? So it's just opportunities. Now you can say, well, if you can't do 40, could you do more open houses but longer? So instead of 2-hour open houses, do 3 hours. Or could you do one on a Friday evening, 4 to 6, or during a lunch hour, 11 to 1? Now you're not going to get as much traffic coming through on a weekday, but the people that are coming through, they're going to be more serious, right? And you're not competing with the attention of 4 or 5 open houses that they saw. They're like the challenge with open houses on the weekend, they're like literally hit like 5 or 6 of them and you're mixed in with everyone else and they kind of forget you, right? So doing one on a weekday, you're the only one that's doing it, they're going to remember you, right? And so that's a part of the strategy. You got to decide what's right for you. So you got to determine what's your goal with regards to open houses. How many are you going to do? And then again, the picking the house, right? So again, pick your price point. What price point do you want to work with? What location? Are you going to get a lot of traffic coming through? Like, I don't like ones which dead end into, like, literally there's no, the streets don't pass through the neighborhood. Like, it dead ends into a lake or it dead ends into a new build construction community where there's all land around it because there's no traffic that comes through. So there's no drive-by traffic. So I like neighborhoods that have a little bit more access to it, if you want to say that. And then, the higher price points, you're going to get less traffic as well. So again, just think about it. I remember one agent that I saw, she was with a different broker. She had one which was like an hour this way, an hour south, an hour west. I go, that's not a strategy, right? Like she literally was just picking random houses. You got to be more consistent and intentional about the houses that you use, right? Average price. Yeah, you got to figure out what's your price point that you want to work with, right? What's your sweet spot? So in Dallas, like the entry level price point is probably going to be around 400. So I do anything from 400 to 800. And if I know the market's a little bit slower, like here's our market's slowed down a lot. And I know that the 800 houses aren't moving. So I actually lowered my price point into the 400 to 600s so I could get more traffic. That's just how I see it, right? So again, everyone's different. You have to study your own market and see what you want to do. Yes, average price point depending on city, 100%. The times for your open houses. So the times in general, I would say 1 to 5, anywhere from 1 to 5 on a Saturday, right? And then on a Sunday, I typically do not start before 2 o'clock. Again, our culture in Dallas, right? A lot of people going to church, they got services in the morning, like literally from 1 to 2. I rarely have people come through. So I start at 2 on a Sunday. And then let's see what else we got here. So preparing for the open house. So what are some things that you could do to prepare for the open house on the front end? So you can get market data, right? Market data, you want to know the general market data for your city. What's going on? How many active listings are there? How many are going under contract? How many are getting sold? What's the general thing? So for us, again, we're saying, hey, our inventory is going up, market's slowing down, there's less houses going under contract, we got a lot of price drops, days on market a little bit longer. There are opportunities for buyers right now, right? I want to be able to hook them to say, this is a reason to buy right now. Neighborhood comps. You could say you should know the neighborhood. So what's the status of this house, right? Is it right at the top of the neighborhood? Or is it in the middle, right? How do the updates compare to other houses in the neighborhood? Is it moving fast? How many listings are there? Are there any comparable listings to say, hey, I know that this house may not be the right house for you, but there's one over here. Would you like to see that? So there's a lot of things. You got to know the neighborhood as well. Another thing you could do to prepare for the open house is door knocking. So this is a little bit uncomfortable. Like, I've had the door slammed in my face before too. And it's a little bit easier with an open house. For the open house, my only goal is to invite them to the open house. So I have a little flyer. It says open house, the date, time, address. And then I knock on the door and say, hey, my name is Daniel with Keller Williams. I'm helping your neighbors sell their house. And we've got an open house this weekend. I just wanted to invite you to the open house and also would love to get your help with it. So if you know of anyone that might be looking in the neighborhood, if you could let them know about the open house, I would really, really appreciate it. And I just leave it at that. And my goal is if they decide to come, then we can have the real estate conversation at the open house. Or they could help you sell it, right? They may know someone. They may say, oh yeah, you know what? I know my friend that's looking, or we're renting, or we've got a family and I want them to move closer. It could happen anyway, right? But the question is, how many doors do you knock? That's up to you. We've had some people do knock 100. That's a lot. 100 is a lot. Now you get some exercise in while you're at it, but I would say at the minimum, try to do 10 to the left, 10 to the right, 10 behind, 10 in front. And if they're not home, just leave the flyer in the door and you can go on. So that's, again, one of the ways to build context, right? To build energy at the open house. And then what you want to do is if you're asking another agent in your office because they got the listing, make sure that they did post the listing on the MLS. I've had a couple where they forgot, like they just got busy. And so then, so then the open house was a little bit of a dud. So, but yeah, make sure that they did post it online. And then you want to practice and role play, right? So just if you say, okay, well, what kind of conversations, what kind of objections am I going to have, right? So one of the persons that again earlier said, I don't know what to say. I'm not sure what's going to how to answer those questions. Well, you want to be able to handle objections at the minimum. And so there's several objections that I hear they're very common objections with regards to what I see at the open houses. One is, hey, I'm waiting for interest rates to come down. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I appreciate that. And the reality is most of us don't know what's going to happen with the interest rates. Last year, we were predicting 6 or 7 interest rate drops. Everyone was wrong. Interest rates actually went up. And so I would say, what is important to you about wanting the interest rates to be lower? Well, I want to pay less on my house. Well, that's great. And I agree with you that everyone wants to pay less for the house. But the one thing you can't control or the one thing you can control right now is actually the cost of the home. So you could get into the house at a lower cost and then eventually refinance. But if you wait until next year and maybe the rates do come down, but guess what's going to happen when the rates come down? There are going to be more buyers on the market, and your price of the home is going to come up. And so you're actually paying more for the house. And there's these charts out there that you can show them that actually locking in the cost is actually cheaper than getting a lower rate down the road because they can refinance. So, Chris, yes, the best time to buy is today rather than tomorrow. And I would agree with that, especially in a slower market, right? So again, your market's different. So if you're still in a seller's market, different story, right? For me, I'm like going, that our market's a little bit slower. So now is the time for opportunities where you can negotiate things and then eventually refinance when you have to. But now you don't have to compete against other offers. Sellers are willing to offer concessions. Now is a great time. And there's more inventory for you to choose from. So again, contextualize it to your market. I still have people saying, I'm waiting for home prices to drop. I'm waiting for the market to crash. Look at everything that's going on politically, economically. Like we think that something's going to crash, right? And again, know your market. I'm in Dallas. I'm like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, did you know that 300 people are still moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area every day? Our city is continuing to grow. The demand is still there. Now, yes, buyers are on the sideline right now because of the uncertainty, and they're holding off right now. And wouldn't you think that that's a great time to take advantage of the market? Knowing that we've got a very stable market, we've got a floor, and as long as you don't have to sell in the next year, you're just going to be able to ride it out, right? So you may not buy it at the bottom of the market, but you're not buying at the you're going to be able to ride it out, right? I'm sorry, you're not buying at the top of the market, right? So that's what people are worried about. The reality is real estate has a trend, a 4% trend nationally going up, and we're like the stock market, right? Instead, a lot of people think the market does this, right? They think it goes up, down, up, down, up, down, right? There's a consistency about it. But the reality is a general trend. It goes up, down, but it's like the stock market continues to go up. So as long as you're going up in the trend, as long as you don't have to sell in the next 2 years, if it goes down a little bit, you just have to hold the house a little bit longer, right? Where do you get that information from? You're talking about like the market data? Yeah, your MLS should have, so our MLS has stats and reports that you can generate. So when we go into our stats tab, we can pull 10 years of history with regards to your inventory, your listings and stuff like that. So you should be able to get some stats from your MLS. If not, ask your broker and they should be able to help you with that. So practice, right? Practice the objections. What kind of objections are you? Oh, well, you're a brand new agent, right? We talked about that earlier. I don't know if I want to use a brand new agent. Yeah, well, certainly I understand that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. And guess what? Because I'm a new agent, you have 100% of my time and attention. Plus, I have a great team working behind me. I've got a phenomenal lender, got a phenomenal title company. Plus, my office, I've got 5 or 10 mentors that are part of my tribe that will help walk me through the transaction. So again, I'm going to be running things by with them, but because I'm a new agent, you have 100% of my attention. Right. So leverage your office, leverage your market stats, and leverage your relationships that you have within the office, right? If you've got, most of you guys should have a coach as well, right? Part of being a new agent, you have a coach that's part of your office or a supervisor, something like that. Like, just let them know, hey, I've got people that are, just say they're part of your team. I've got a mentor. That part you don't have to worry about. And then another one, I got this last one, right? My lease doesn't expire until like 4 to 6 months. Well, I certainly understand that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. And did you know that, you could either wait until your lease expire or comes close, and then you're going to be in a little bit of time crunch because now you got to try and time it all. Or what we could do is we could get a concession from the seller because our market is slower. So if we find the right house with more inventory, would that work for you if you could cover it? Now, if we close today, your first payment isn't due until June. And then we could also get a concession for 2 months of closing costs towards covering the breaking of your lease. Would that be okay if we found something today?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So let's say they're 4 months out, right? Okay, well, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, right? I understand you're 4 months out in this market. And how much is your rent every month? Oh, it's about $2,000. Okay, great. What if we got $4,000 in concessions to cover 2 months of payments? And then you know that if we close today, your first payment isn't due till June. So would that work for you to be able to cover the payments and get the closing costs? That way you don't have to come out of pocket for any of your rent and have a double payment.
Are you gonna cover for their deposit?
I'm sorry?
What about their deposit? If
Yeah,
they
whatever it is, right? You have to find out what is it. I mean, the first question really is what is the consequence of breaking your lease, right? Or if it's not breaking the lease, but they're just writing it out towards the end. And here's the thing, right? A lot of people who are landlords, if you choose to break it right now, that's probably better than a lease that terminates in the fall, right? None of the landlords want to terminate in the fall. So they may be okay with saying, okay, well, as long as you pay until I find another tenant, then they're okay with it, right? So again, that's just part of the strategy. You have to talk with your clients about that and see, but just be creative, right? Be creative with regards to it. I was once doing a listing and as an open house, and our house wasn't moving, and the buyers were like, yeah, well, our lease doesn't expire till February, but we love the house. We love the house. And then it was like 4 months out. So we did getting a little bit out of it, but we did a reverse offer, which the seller made an offer to the buyer. And we said, hey, we'll pay for your lease. Let's go into contract. And they decided to do it, right? So, you just got to get creative. If you know that they like the house and it's one that they want, then yeah. So Bree, if it's a seller's market, that's a little bit harder, right? What you could do is just say, okay, well, what if, again, it just depends how much you're asking, right? So you could just say, hey, look, if the house is priced at 500 and cash is the issue, you can say, let's offer 505. We'll take $5,000 in concessions, and then that way you have cash to cover whatever. So you can get a little bit creative on that. You just have to understand the market, right? If it's a strong seller's market, then it's gonna be a little bit harder. So that's handling objections, right? So you got to be able to prepare for your open house. A couple of other things in terms of preparing for the open house. So in terms of signage, right? I always say you want a big sign for the front of the house. And then if I can get 2 major streets, that's what I want to do. And then I'm running the smaller open houses to throughout the neighborhood. Now I just use the Home Depot. When I first started out, I did this for about 8 years. I use a small Home Depot open house signs. They're really ghetto, but they're cheap. And then I just go to my local board and get generic signs. Do not spend money on branded open house signs until you're a little bit further along in the in your business, right? So you want to save money on that end. Plus, you don't know which neighborhoods are going to steal your signs, so just be mindful of that, because I don't care if they steal those Home Depot ones. They can take them all day long. I'll just go get more. And you want to be able to drive as much traffic towards it. In terms of information that you want to have at the open house, you want to have obviously the listing info. So in our MLS, we actually can print out a customer flyer. Whatever's the easiest. Like, I do not want to spend any time on making a customer flyer. So just print it out. Now, I do want to have the seller's disclosure there. So I got some information there. If you have a list of updates, that'd be great. And then maybe school information. Now, the things that I'm holding back. So if there's been foundation work or roof work or something like that, I'm not giving that out at the open house. So I'm saying, hey, yeah, you know what? I know that there's foundation work on the house. Would you like to see a copy of the report? Yes, I would. Great. What's your contact information so I can send it to you? I want to hold things of value because I want their contact information. So foundation reports, roof reports, even activity, sales activity. So we're a non-disclosure state. So that's why we have a little bit of leg up with the sales activity reports. People want that. And so that's something of value. But anything of value, right, that you can give to them, don't always give it to them right up front. Great, I'm going to send that to you. What's a good email address? Oh, let me give you a better email. This is like kind of not my go-to email address, and they'll give the right one, right? So always have that. The other thing I like to do with the open house is I get a 4-foot folding table from Walmart or Target or something like that, so that I can set up my table at the front of the house. I know a lot of agents they set up at the kitchen. If your kitchen's all the way in the back, I'm losing them if they walk out the door, especially if my stairs are right at the front entrance. So I always want to set up right at the front. It costs $40 for a folding table. Get the 4-inch or the 4-foot because it's easier to put in your car and lighter, and just set up right at the front. Because sometimes, again, right, if the stairs are right at the front, as they always go to the second floor right at the end, and then they start walking straight out the house, and you miss them on the back end of the conversation. So 4-foot table, have a chair if it's a vacant house. I always like some tunes. It's really awkward when it's silent and it just drives me crazy. Toilet paper and hand sanitizer, vacant house, right? Kids, oh, we need the bathroom. Guess what they're going to do? They're just going to jet if the kids need the bathroom and there's no toilet paper. So, bring some toilet paper, bring hand sanitizer for them because you want them to stay. You obviously business cards. And then I don't do any of the cookies and craft food and all that stuff. Now I bring water in 100-degree weather because it's hot, right? But I don't like chocolate chip cookies because the kids, when they stick their fingers in it, and guess what? If they start smearing the walls with chocolate, that's on me now, right? The parents should be providing their own. Or you could say, hey, look, if you're a good kid and you look at the open house, then you can have this on the way out, right? But I really don't like a lot of setup time. I want to focus on what's most important. I'd rather do door knocking than go out and buy balloons and all this stuff. That just to me is not what I want to do. Now you have to do your own thing, right? So make it your own. Sign-in sheets. So there's a lot of questions about sign-in sheets. Do you ask for their contact information at the front or on the back end? I always do it on the back end because I want to build rapport with them before I ask them for their information, right? Because if they don't know me and they're trying to sign in, then I think the likelihood that I get bad information goes up. So I want to, balloons fly away. Absolutely. So, I like to ask for it on the back end. Now, if I have a full open house, right, and there's tons of people, then I'm probably saying to a handful of them, hey, can you sign in on the front end? Because I just don't want to backlog on the back end, right? Do you do online, like computer Google Sheet sign in? Or I know Command has one. Or do you do a paper sign in? I'm old school. I actually do paper. And there's a reason for that. So one of it is I like to write on the back side of the piece of paper the conversations that we have. Oh, so you're moving from New Jersey to Dallas. That's great. And what's your time frame? Oh, you're looking in the summer. Oh, phenomenal. What areas are you looking at? Oh, you're looking at Plano, Frisco, different cities. I can write all that information on the back. And then so when I follow up with them, I'm like, hey, it was great to chat with you. I'm so excited for your family moving from New Jersey, that you're going to work at JP Morgan here in Dallas. So can't wait to reconnect with you in a couple months, right? That follow-up is a lot more powerful than, hey, yeah, we met at the open house. And so, hey, love to connect with you. right? So if you remember things, that's why I like the paper, because I can do that. If it's on a Google Sheet, it kind of gets lost, and I can't make the connections on the Google Sheet form that I have. How do
Hey,
you deal with
Daniel.
little writing that you can't read? There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you're
Hey,
gonna get some that happen like so. That's why I just say it's a numbers game.
hey, Daniel, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, quick question. You were talking about sign-in sheets. Are you saying that there's individual sign-in sheets that you pass out to each person, or
Yeah,
you just have one? Okay, is that what you're saying?
it's different.
Individual?
Yeah, some people have like one card for each person that signs in. My sign-in sheet has 3 people on there, right? And so I've got the name, phone, email, address, price point that they're looking at, what's their time frame, 0 to 3 months, 3 to 12 months, over 12 months. And then on the bottom, I have realtor. And it's very vague on purpose, right? My goal is if you ask them the question, do you have a realtor? Guess what they're going to write? Yes. I just put realtor, and that I'm just asking for their name, right? And so if they leave it blank, to me, that's fair game that I can reach out to them. If they put a name in the office, then I'm like, okay, well, I respect that. I just send them a text that thanks for stopping by the open house. But again, I don't like the question, do you have a realtor? Because they're all going to put yes, even if they don't have one. So that's kind of how my sign up sheet is set up. And then what I do is, so I got to look, I print out multiple copies because here's what everyone follows what the first person does. So if the first person puts their name and just their phone number, everyone else was going to follow suit. So I take that one, I put it in the back, and I start a new sheet when the next person comes in. And sometimes I put in dummy information for the first one and I fill it all out. And guess what? Everyone follows suits and fills out everything. So, you know, there's we're just wired like that as human beings. So if someone doesn't fill it out fully, I just throw that sheet to the back. The other thing I like about assigning sheets, again, if your open house is full and you got like 3 or 4 people ready to walk out the house, and I've got one computer, they're not waiting in line. Like they just don't want to wait and say, can I sign it? So I take the sheets, I spread them out and say, here, can you sign here? Can you sign here? Can you sign here? Can you sign here? Right? So again, do I lose some? Do I lose some because I can't read it? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's fine. I just move on. Are some people going to refuse to sign in? Absolutely. And I don't force it. Like, I mean, if they just say, hey, look, I don't want to give you my information. I'm like, that's fine. Right. Unless it's like a luxury listing, then your clients may say, hey, look, for security, I really want everyone to sign in. Then I will be insisting, hey, this is the seller's request. They want to protect the security of the home where the seller's asking for everyone to sign in. Right. That's a different story.
What was the information you were requesting? It was name, the realtor, the length of time.
Yeah, so name, so you want all their contact information if possible. So
Mhm.
name, phone, email, address, price point, what time frame they're looking for, and then if they have a realtor, right? But I just put realtor in general.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Daniel, you said something about you don't like asking them if they have realtors. What was your alternative? Just so that you can get out of a no answer.
I just literally have realtor and then a line by it. And so I'm asking like basically for the realtor's name.
Okay,
It's
and if they leave it
intentionally
blank,
vague.
that answers it.
Yeah, if you give them a yes, no answer, they're going to say yes, they
Say
have.
yes to avoid your call.
Sorry,
She-
Daniel. Yeah, sorry. I missed one thing. Gosh. Yeah. Did you say there's a free template? Is there a template with what you just said, or is there a template that I
Yeah, I
can
can
make with?
Yeah,
Go
I'll
ahead.
send it over to I forgot who the coordinator is for the name of the coordinator for Ignite, and then she'll send it out to everyone. So I'll put that on my list of things to send out for you guys. So my
Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yep.
Our MLS, our Cape Fear Realtors Association has a sign-in book for open houses. And I've had a lot of sign-in pages. I've had a sign-in book, like a notebook or something like that. well formatted pages. The sign-in book is a shoe-in. I've never collected so much good data so flawlessly, so fluidly as part of the process. They come in, they look at the sign-in book, and they put all of their information in it. And I got to tell you, it's the best $20 I've ever spent.
Yeah. I mean, I would just, yeah, there's lots of examples out there. So I just kind of pick and choose what you want, and go from there, right? So again, the goal is to get the contact information, right? So that's the most important thing. Can you get the contact information? Because the second most important thing is to get the appointment. So your goal is to get an appointment from the open house leads. And so you want to make a connection, because if you make a connection there, they're going to remember you. And then secondly, get their contact information and make an appointment. So I was kind of hey Bara, I see your hand raised, but let me see if I can get through this, and then we can get open house questions at the end. So
No problem.
let me see where I was going with this. Just lost my train of thought.
You were saying to get their, get their contact information and then make a
Oh, the
connection.
appointments. So I was kind of nervous about asking for the appointments at the open house, right? Because I was like, oh, if someone else is there or if it's busy, like I don't want to feel, again, pushy or salesy or whatever, right? And my coach kind of challenged me on this. He goes, hey, Daniel, if you're at Best Buy and someone walks out with a computer and they're buying something, does that sound weird to you? And I go, no, because they're there at Best Buy to buy whatever they want. And then he goes, okay, well, what are people wanting to do at an open house? They want to buy a house. So if they're there at the open house and they want to buy a house, is it weird that you would be there setting up appointments? And I go, no. So then he goes, so then why? That's your own limiting belief, right? People are there to get information, and some of them are there to interview, or they're open to interviewing. So don't be afraid of asking for the appointment at the open house, because here's the thing: the moment they leave, momentum starts to drop, right? In every sales thing, right? Why do they put the candy at the front of the grocery store? Because that's when their momentum's the highest. Like, oh, I want to do it right there and then. And so that's the same thing with their relationship with you, right? It's not weird. Like, I mean, if all they can say is no, hey, I think we should meet. Let's talk about the process. Let's talk about you. Hey, you had some questions about the market. Let's meet, right? It's not awkward. They can say, you know what? I don't want to meet. Okay, that's cool. Okay, is it okay if I follow up with you later? But definitely ask. And if they're not sure, they can say they can bounce around, right? So this is again script practice. Oh, we're not supposed to call it script practice, conversation practice. They say, oh, well, you know what? Let me check with my husband to see what time we have available. Well, what time does it normally work best for him? What time does he get off work? 5 o'clock? Would weeknights be better or weekends? Probably weekends, because he's kind of busy. Okay, well, let's go ahead and pencil in Saturday at 10 when you know that he's available, typically available. And then if we have to change it, we can reschedule. Would that be okay with you? Lock in a time, right?
Lock it.
Because the moment they walk out the door, your momentum drops, your success rate drops significantly.
Daniel?
Yes.
Quick question. Paul Martin, Fort Wayne. Had to arrive late because of a meeting I was in. Double checking. Do you put out a replay in our emails on these? Just double checking.
In terms of the video?
Correct.
I believe that they're all going to be available on YouTube somewhere. So I saw like the session for prior instructors.
Right.
So I think it's going to be available. I just don't know how long the turnaround time is.
Got it. Good enough. Appreciate what I've heard so far. Thanks for doing it.
No problem. All right. So so here's the thing. We're getting close to time. So here's really important. When I have a list of 4 questions that I ask when people are done with the tour. So I don't even ask them anything up front. I just say, hey, go tour the house. Let me know if you have any questions. So I have 4 questions that I ask as soon as they're done with the tour. The first one is, how do you feel about the house? We have a responsibility to the sellers on getting feedback, right? Because we actually when we don't have a rep agreement, we represent the, well, at least in Texas, we represent the seller. So, but we want to give some feedback for the listing agent. How do you feel about the house? But secondly, guess what? I'm asking when they tell me, oh, well, you know what? Yard's a little bit small and we need a little bit more bedrooms. They're telling me their buy box. So I'm getting their buyer needs as they answer that question. Oh, you need something a little bit bigger? Well, when I follow up with them, hey, I know that you were looking for something bigger. Here's a couple options. What do you think about these? Right? I'm starting to gather information for them. Second question, how long have you been looking? Oh, this is our first weekend looking. Guess what? They probably don't have an agent. Better be following up with them quick. Your first weekend. Now, if they're, we've been looking for like 3 years. Oh, you're those kinds of buyers. Like, so like, I mean, it gives you a framework, right? How long have they been looking? But also then I would say, where are you moving from? Oh, we're moving from out of state. Oh, so that means guess what? I've lived in the city for 20 years. So let's have a chat. I think we should meet so that I can share with you about other neighborhoods that might be potential. Doesn't even have to be meeting about trying to become the real estate agent. It's like, hey, you don't know the city? Let's chat. Let's talk about neighborhoods. Right? Or we're currently renting. Oh, you're currently renting. Well, when does your lease expire? Right? So that's part of it. Oh, do you have a house to sell before you buy? These are questions that where you're moving from can help you answer. And again, it helps you with the follow-up conversations. And then the last one is, how do you feel about the market? Oh, well, we tried to buy like a couple of years ago and it was just, we got it so burned out, right? I'm like, oh, well, good. So I think this market actually is a better market for you because there's more options for you, right? So how do you feel about this market? It helps you get an understanding. Plus, you're the local expert, so you get to know. Okay, do they really know stuff, or are they just kind of like unsure? And then that way you can know how to bring value to them. You understand maybe what are their past objections. How do they feel about it? Like if they say, hey, we're just really uncertain about the economy. So here's the thing, right? I would definitely, if you're in a strong market, I wouldn't just blow off the economy thing. Ask them, well, I certainly understand that, right? Always come from an agreement. You don't want to object to them right away because then it doesn't sound like you're on their side. But be sensitive, be empathetic, because they truly may be in an industry which is impacted by everything that's going on. So if their job might be on the line or their industry is really struggling, then you can say, yeah, you know what, this may not be the right time for you, and they will appreciate that. So just kind of come from compassion, come from care, but asking that question, how do you feel about the market, gives you a little bit of sense of what are their fears, what are their objections, and a little bit of what their timing is. And then the last part here is the magic is in the follow-up. So they say on average, the conversion happens after 7 or 8 attempts. 80% of agents follow up twice. They just follow up twice. So you gotta, and I think what holds us back is we don't have a system in place for the follow-up. And so your system, you could do a smart plan in Command, and you could automate it. Now, if you automate some stuff, you got to sprinkle in some authentic stuff, right? So for me, I'm just saying, okay, what are my first 8 follow-ups? First one is thank you text, right? Thanks for coming to the open house. Here's my digital card. Let me know if I can answer any questions for you. Second one's a call, right? And you want to make some calls in. Hey, would love to follow up with you. Do you have any questions? I think we should meet. Don't forget to keep asking for the appointment. Then what you want to do is you got to start mixing it up and say, what is of value for them that I could bring to the table? Because if I just keep asking them, hey, let's meet, that's going to be, they're going to get tired of that. So I'm going to say, hey, here's some market data of what's going on in our city. Just want to share with you. Would love to be able to catch up with you and share a little bit more about the outlook for the coming year. Let's get together. Then you could do, if they told you, school information, right? And you need to have all the stuff ready to go, because if it's not ready to go and you're like, what should I send to them today? Last time I sent them this, should I do this? Like, it's got to be turnkey, right? Ready to go. Otherwise your follow-up is going to be very inconsistent. School information. Everyone does greatschools.org. In Texas, we have the Texas Education TEA, right? It's got demographic information. It's got all this other stuff that you don't normally get. And so I'm just like, hey, here's another resource for you. that I thought, and they got like report cards for each of the schools. I'm like, here's another resource for you that not everyone knows about that might be of value for you. Neighborhood stats, like again, running the neighborhood market, and things to look for in a home, right? So actually, if you want, I've got a couple of you, I'm just starting to build this out, but if you go to my YouTube channel, here's my handle. I've got like 6 videos, right? Just record some videos. And then you could just text it to them and say, hey, here's a video on things to look for in a house. Here is a video on things to look for in a lender, right? Just come up with it beforehand. And then just now it's an easy button. You just send it to them. Right. And the videos are always better because guess what they do? They remember personality. They remember why they liked you based on your, how they connected with you. And you just lose all of that through text message and emails. So if you've got a video, just go record it. Doesn't have to be long, and then just send it to them. Have like 3 or 4 lined up and ready to go. So you want to have about 8 touches that happen within like 4 to 6 weeks. And the magic is all in the open house. Literally, I remember one time I was following up with an open house lead for 8 months, one-way communication. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just going into the black hole. And then they finally responded like 8 months later, hey Daniel, we're ready to go buy a house. And I'm like, could you not have said, hey, thanks for sending me this stuff, right? But it happens, right? They don't reach out back to you until they're ready to go. So, just keep following up with them until they say no. Now, obviously, if it's a year later, you're dialing back the number of contacts and things like that, but just stay in touch with them, right? You never know. So I probably could go for another hour on open houses, but we're kind of running out of time. Any other questions on open houses?
Not an open house question, but I don't know if this was already answered, but how are we able to view these recordings?
They're gonna post them online on YouTube, so you should be able to get it. But you should be
Oh,
able
awesome.
Yeah. Before I forget, so I'm gonna give you some quick tips on social media before we wrap up. But I'm in the process of getting my KWU certification. And so I would really appreciate it if you guys could send me a review here because I do have to get a certain number of reviews. So you could either scan this QR code or you can go to the website kwueval.com. And if you would select the region Texas NNMM, the course would be Ignite. And since I'm not certified yet, my name's not in the drop-down box. You just have to scroll all the way to the bottom and you literally select not in drop-down and then you can type in my name there. So if you guys could submit a review, that would be phenomenal for me as I'm looking to get my KWU certification. My goal in my heart is to be able to teach Quantum Leap. That's my dream. But let me wrap up with a few things on social media.
I have a question about an open house.
Okay, go ahead.
I've noticed in the MLS they have brokers open houses and then they have the regular open houses. Can you explain what a broker open house is?
Yes, a broker open house is just for agents only. And so typically it's kind of like a preview, or you just want to market it only to the agents to be able to build a relation. Let's say like hypothetically, if it's a luxury listing, right? So you're going to market it to all the luxury agents. So that's where that would be handled. But in general, you're just doing a regular open house. So, all right, let me do 2 seconds on social media. The goal of social media is to connect. All right, and the top 3 platforms are going to be Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Like, just don't go crazy. Like, I mean, if you have TikTok, you can use TikTok or whatever like that. But in general, the bulk of your clients in your sphere is going to come from those those platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And the goal is to connect, right? The algorithms for Facebook and Instagram, they're going to promote interactions. And so if I'm not talking to you, I'm not commenting on your pages, there is no connection. And therefore, anything you post online is not likely to be seen by those that you're in relationship with. So just a quick story, whereas one time I met up with a friend, I saw them, I didn't meet up with them intentionally. We just bumped into each other at a restaurant. Hadn't seen each other for like 4 years. We just started chatting, and guess what? As soon as I got home, what's the first thing that shows up on my feed? It's her posts. And I was like, what? Facebook knows that we connected on a location standpoint. So from an algorithm standpoint, Facebook always wants to see that if you are in connection with one another, you're going to see each other's posts more. So that's why I love Messenger, right? Messenger is a great way just to be able to stay in touch with people. One of the best things you can do is anytime it's someone's birthday, instead of just commenting like with the 100 posts that are there that are just saying happy birthday, open up Messenger, say happy birthday. Hope you have an amazing day. It's been a while. How are you doing? Start a conversation. How are you doing? That's one of the best questions ever on Messenger. And then you take it from there. And then you start a dialogue. You send them some pictures. You send them like just some stuff. And then Facebook starts seeing that you're interacting. And they're going to be like, okay, you guys get to see each other's posts more. That's the goal of social media, right? You already have their contact information. It's just doing it through a Messenger app. You don't have to have their phone number. You don't have to have their email. Now, eventually, you want to get that stuff. But if it just hangs out on Messenger, I'm okay with that. So, that's really the goal with social media posts. Now, on Facebook, I would definitely lean more towards your personal page than your business page. Your business page just does not get as much traction. So just do it on your personal page. And the goal is 80% personal, 20% business, right? And then that way, because people will connect with who they, similar interests and things like that. And so that's where you want to keep those things. But definitely leverage the different platforms, stories, reels, regular posts. They all have different ways to connect with people, and people see them differently. So you're going to have to figure out a way to integrate with all of those different avenues.
Daniel, you
Yep.
said you end the happy birthday thing with a question. What was that question again?
How have you been?
Oh, okay. Thank
It's been a while. How have you been? Right. So it's a super easy question. I mean, again, you're just starting a conversation. That's all you're doing. So, so what I would say is look at your social profile, and that's your resume. Would you hire you if you looked at your social profile, your presence? People are going to be checking you out. So do you have a Google business page? Do you have Google business reviews? What's your Facebook page look like? I don't really do much with LinkedIn except for I just have it looks good, and then I just leave it alone. And it links to my websites and my other social handles and all that stuff, right? People are going to be checking you out. So if you don't have very many reviews right now set up your Google business page, ask for character reviews, right? So your friends can say, hey, Daniel is a great guy. He definitely take care of you. He's a must interview. They're not saying they used you. They're just giving you a character review. But if you have 0 reviews, guess what? If you go say, hey, let's go check out some restaurants and there's 0 reviews, are you going to go there? No. Got to get some reviews up there. So your first goal is to try and get 25, then try and get 50. Now there's some Google review tactics where literally if Google is very particular. They're going to start deleting reviews if you kind of don't do it right. So you got to spread them out. So I used to time block and say, I'd send out 20 emails and say, can you give me a review? And then Google is like, this is like bogus, right? He's just doing mass reviews. So you can't do that. So you got to kind of spread them out. And then if you're asking for peer reviews from other people in your office, tell them not to use your KW email, use your personal email. Because if they see it's a KW email and you're reviewing a KW person, Google doesn't like that. And they also don't like it if you're reviewing them from your office. So if you're sitting in your market center, you say, hey, I need a bunch of reviews, and everyone does it from the same location, Google sees that. So it's a lot of like different things. Just kind of spread it out, personal emails, and then review each other for sure. Right? That helps out. Got to get at least 10, right? Just start getting them and get those numbers up because people are checking you out. But that's about all I want to say on social media. I mean, we just ran out of time and went long on the open houses, but that's okay. You guys had questions, and I would rather go deeper in one topic than go wider and not really hit home. What other questions do you have as we wrap up?
Hi there. I don't know if you saw my question on the chat, but I was wondering if you have any safety tips for the open houses.
A great question. Yes, absolutely. I was supposed to cover that. So safety tips, right? We know that things can happen, right? And so we want to be concerned, and we want to, so you want to let someone know where you at, right? Who's your backup to say, hey, look, this is where my open house is at, just letting you know. Secondly, for the ladies, you want to wear good shoes, like 3-inch heels. You're not going to be able to run away in it, right? So you want to wear comfortable shoes that you could probably have to take off if you have to. Know where your exits are. So if you leave the back door open, if there's a back gate, ensure that you can get out that way. And then if you need someone to go with you, right? So you could have your lender, you could have a title company, or you could pair up and split the leads with someone else in your office. So I've done that before where I just say, okay, well, let's split the leads, whoever we can, we kind of just take turns, and then we go from there, and then we just split the leads on that. But, again, the neighborhoods you're in, which ones are going to be a little bit more challenging, especially if they're a vacant one. Just be safe, right? Or I guess you could always get a Ring camera, pop it in there right in front of where you're at. Say, smile, you're on camera, but it's your own Ring. So hopefully that helps out. But I mean, I certainly understand the concerns there, and you're right to be cautious, right? You're right to be cautious. You got to be aware.
Hey, I got a question, Daniel. So when it comes to open houses, does the open house have to be someone or agent that's in your brokerage, or can it be any agent?
You're supposed to do it within your own market center. With the new laws in place, they're not wanting you to go outside. There's too much liability, because if something happens, your so the E&O insurance is not going to cover you if you're at another listing outside your brokerage.
Got you. Okay.
Do you let the people walk around by themselves or do you go with them?
I let them walk by themselves because I want to stay in the front to welcome people in. If I go upstairs or I go walk around with them. Now, sometimes if there's something that is unique to the house that I got to point it out, then I might walk out to the back and say, hey, look, seller wanted me to point this out, right? Cool. Well, I'm dropping my information into the chat. That's my email. I would love to stay connected with you guys if you have any other questions. So just shoot me an email with your contact information, what city you're in. We could stay in touch, and if you got other questions, then certainly we can connect as well. I want to be respectful for your time. I appreciate you guys. And I'll be going again in about an hour for the West Coast time, and so hopefully this is of value to you guys. Again, you can reach out to me. My email was in there. Definitely a shout out if you got any other questions. And then I will reach out to the organizing team to send out my sign-in sheet for you guys for the open house.
Hey, Daniel, one
Yep.
quick question. Okay, there's going to be a new market center opening, and the brokerage that I'm doing an open house for is actually going to turn into Keller Williams. So is that okay? They haven't turned yet because we don't have enough agents, but I've been doing open houses for them. Is that okay?
You would have to ask your broker on that. Ultimately your broker is responsible for your liability. And so just double check with them and make sure that's okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the information, Daniel.
All right. You guys are awesome. Take care. Have a good night, and good luck with everything. And hopefully we can see each other again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Daniel, you said you're going to do this again for the West Coast?
Yep.
Is
So
it the
I'll
same
be
link?
here in an hour.
It's the same link?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Very
so much.
informative. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All the money that our associates are
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.